The 1959 movie The Northwest Frontier is a good old-fashioned adventure film. Kenneth More is the plucky Captain Scott, who is charged with taking an Indian boy prince to safety during the time of British rule in India. An uprising is underway and the rebels are determined to do the boy harm. Having managed to get his charge to Hyderabad just before the enemy tribes close in and besiege the city, the good captain is ordered to get the boy to Kolhapur. The only problem being that the last train to Kolhapur has already left, and the foe has surrounded the city. But in the railway yard still is to be found the small run-down locomotive, mostly used as a shunting engine, called the Empress of India, which her driver Gupta, who has 30 years' service on the railway, simply refers to as Victoria. The army's engineers see to it that Victoria is repaired where necessary and fully brought up to speed. A few select passengers are to be granted the chance of getting out of the besieged city alongside the little prince. These are the prince's American governess Catherine Wyatt, played by no lesser than Lauren Bacall, the cynical arms dealer Mr. Peters, provided by Eugene Deckers, the charming Mr. Bridie, who is played by the ever-pleasant Wilfrid Hyde-White, the city governor's wife, Lady Wyndham, who is brought to life by Ursula Jeans, and the half-Dutch, half-Indonesian Muslim reporter Peter van Leyden, who is portrayed beautifully by Herbert Lom. Captain Scott must trust to Gupta, who is played by I.S. Johar, to keep good old Victoria puffing along, no matter what the situation. Meanwhile, he only has 2 sepoys to rely on should he need to fend off any enemies. In a daring move, the little train breaks out of Hyderabad and now must cross territory held by bloodthirsty rebels. This naturally provides ample opportunity for the intrepid group of passengers in the coach to speak of their lives in British India. Everyone is terribly civil. It is a miniature Raj rolling along the rails, surrounded by enemies, with Lady Wyndham and Mr. Bridie being the crowning glory of the British establishment, Mr. Peters being upbraided for selling arms to friend and foe alike, and Mr. Van Leyden, the reporter, sniping from the sidelines. Lauren Bacall's American governess sums up the British attitude quite beautifully early on, by huffing that the British never do anything until they have had a cup of tea. All the while Captain Scott has his hands full keeping them all alive, with the rebels obviously suspecting that the prince is on that train, and being rather keen on dispatching the little blighter to the afterlife. The pace of this movie is a good one. Action, tension and time for reflection are given occasion to breathe. There are good set pieces. The problems our characters encounter are at times quite daunting. The most memorable must be the challenge of crossing a damaged railway bridge. I mean, how do you get a locomotive across this? But what carries this film along most are the characters. Kenneth More does what he does best, struggling manfully to do his duty by Queen and country. Lauren Bacall supplies the headstrong romantic interest. The standouts among the rest of the cast must be I.S. Johar as the loyal train driver, Herbert Lom as the brooding, surly reporter, and Wilfrid Hyde-White, who simply sparkled in every film in which he was ever cast. Grim as the movie at times can become, with quite serious matters such as religious violence and massacres being touched upon, please rest assured that this is nonetheless a fairly upbeat and charming movie at heart. Even the censorious British Board of Film Classification has given this film a U certification, which stands for Universal, suitable for all. The film occasionally explores some of the themes around colonialism, with Kenneth More's Captain Scott defending British rule and Herbert Lom's Van Leyden being a passionate advocate against. The movie does at times reach quite epic scale, with sweeping landscapes and a great many extras. More often than not, these extras make up the various hosts seeking to attack the train. But for all the danger, you know all along that Kenneth More will not let his charges come to any serious harm. He will take them on a wild, adventurous journey, and, covered in dust, suffering a flesh wound or two, he will somehow get them through it all. The question is simply, how will he do it? The answer is, with lots of British pluck, a great deal of elbow grease, a dash of good fortune, and a little help from his friends. I can but commend this formidable movie to you, my dear viewers, as it is a well-crafted, beautifully acted affair, and, to put it bluntly, the sort of thing they no longer make these days. That is all from the projection booth atop the Cyber Pass. Thank you very much, and goodbye.